On Christmas Eve, 1945, a house in rural West Virginia burned to the ground in under an hour. 5 children were inside. Their bodies were never found. No bones, no remains, nothing. Their mother spent the next 40 years convinced they were still alive. This is the story of the Sodder children. George and Jenny Sodder lived in Fayetteville, West Virginia, with their 9 children. George was an Italian immigrant who'd built a successful coal hauling and trucking business. The family wasn't rich, but they were comfortable, well-known in town, and by most accounts happy. George had one enemy, though, a local insurance salesman who, months before the fire, warned him that his house would go up in smoke and his children would be destroyed because George publicly criticized Mussolini and Italy's fascist government. George brushed it off. He shouldn't have. On the night of December 24th, 1945, the Sodder children stayed up late playing with new toys after their parents went to bed. Around midnight, Jenny woke to the sound of something hitting the roof. She checked the house, found nothing wrong, and went back to sleep. A little later, she woke again, this time to the smell of smoke. She and George got the older kids and some of the younger ones out, but 4 of the 9 children were trapped upstairs, plus a 5th had gone missing entirely. The staircase to the 2nd floor was already engulfed. George tried to reach a ladder he always kept against the house. It was gone, moved for no reason anyone could explain. He tried to start his coal trucks to use as a boost to reach the windows. Neither would start, despite working fine the day before. A neighbor called the fire department. The call reportedly took hours to reach anyone, and the fire truck, when it finally came, got lost on the way, arriving after the house had already collapsed into ash. The official investigation ruled the fire an electrical fault and declared the 5 missing children, Maurice, Martin, Louis, Jenny, and Betty, dead, their bodies presumed cremated in the blaze. But Jenny and George didn't believe it. Here's what bothered them. A house fire hot enough to fully cremate bodies typically needs to burn for hours at extreme temperature. This fire gutted the structure in under 45 minutes. Human bone doesn't fully disintegrate in ordinary house fires. Even crematoriums require sustained heat far beyond what a wood frame home fire produces, and they still leave bone fragments. No bones, teeth, or remains of any kind were ever recovered from the site, not even after Jenny had the entire foundation excavated years later. The phone lines were mysteriously dead that night. The ladder was missing, and the trucks wouldn't start. Both signs, the Sodders believed, of deliberate sabotage to trap the family inside. Witnesses reported seeing a car speeding away from the house that night, and separately, several people claimed to see the missing children afterward, including one report of a woman spotted at a hotel serving the children breakfast the following morning. Jenny refused to accept the state's conclusion. She and George put up a billboard along the highway near their home, offering a reward for information, listing photos of the 5 missing kids aged, to show what they might look like as they grew older. That billboard stayed up for decades. Tips came in from around the country. A photo arrived anonymously in the mail years later, allegedly of Lewis as a grown man, with a cryptic note on the back. It was never conclusively verified, and the private investigator Jenny hired to trace it died suddenly before the trail led anywhere. George died in 1969. Jenny kept searching until her own death in 1989. Neither ever stopped believing their children survived that night. So what actually happened? Some believe it was retaliation, tied to George's trucking business and his public criticism of Mussolini, carried out by Italian organized crime or fascist sympathizers. Others believe it was a kidnapping, the missing ladder, dead phone lines, and non-starting trucks, suggesting the fire was staged specifically to abduct the children while making it look accidental. The official explanation is simpler and less dramatic: an accidental fire and a grieving family that saw patterns that weren't really there. And some believe local officials botched the investigation and then covered their tracks, closing the case fast to avoid embarrassment. No bones, no confirmed sighting, no arrest, no answer. Just a billboard on a West Virginia highway that stood for decades and a mother who never stopped looking. To this day, the Sodder children are officially unsolved.